think I'm doing good. Let me take these headphones off. See, can you hear me or no?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Maybe I'll leave my headphones.
I'm going to change the cameras here so that we are talking face to face. So anyway, how's everything going today? No, I can't hear you, Ed. Actually, I can't hear myself. Sorry, guys. Did not mean to cough in your ear. Earth to Ed. Don't you guys just love live video? I can't hear you, Ed. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? Yes, maybe, no. Ed, can you hear me? All right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's do this. Let's go to Facebook and take a look and hear if I am broadcasting or not. And I'll know real quick if I'm the one that is the problem here. I still can't hear you, Ed. I could hear you when you first come on, but I can't hear you right this second. So let me go into this and let's just see if you can hear me. Okay, I can hear myself on the live, so I think it's on your end, brother. But I will wait while you get it fixed. And everybody can just watch us and pretend that we're talking and doing the right thing. Still nothing, Ed. Ed, go down to the settings where it says mic and cam at the bottom of the screen. And make sure that you have the mic, it's probably the headset mic chosen, because that's probably what's going on. You're not muted. So down at the bottom of the screen, it'll say mic and camera. If you click that, then it should bring up whatever the mic is. And I'm betting that it's that headset that you had. You probably don't have that set. Can I hear you? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's see. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. I hit the wrong button. Still can't hear you, Ed. You're talking, but it's not doing any good because I can't hear you. Again, at the bottom of the very bottom of the screen. Oh, he's gone. Isn't live video just the absolute best? It's happened to me, guys, so I can't say a word.
Hey, Wes.
Hey, I can hear you.
Yes. Okay.
Maybe you just have to pop off and pop back on, or who knows?
That's what I did.
Yeah.
Now I'm sinking again.
Yeah. You are. Ed's got a bad hydraulic.
Oh shit! Not easy. Oh, we weren't supposed to be cursing. All right.
Yeah,
first roll.
Knock the damn cursing off. Yeah. So anyway, what I was telling everybody before you popped on and sunk down was Ed and I are putting together a 30-day challenge for going through and.
I'm gonna get this seat. Sorry.
That's okay. Ed's gonna go get a pillow or something to put underneath him.
1 second, buddy.
You need to get yourself like a box of paper or something. Stack a couple of those books up. But what we're gonna do is this is day 8 for me, and I've gone live every day here on HAP for 8 days. This being day 8. And let's see what he's got here.
Okay, I think I'm getting a little better.
You're a little taller.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, a little taller. So,
A little taller.
But what I was telling everybody is that we're going to go live every day. Now, this is day 8 for me. This is actually day 2 for you, Ed. So you've already gotten 2 days under your belt of going live here on Haps already. But so for the people that don't know you, Ed, explain how you and I met, and introduce yourself.
Okay, but Ed Drost, living north of Baltimore, grew up in Baltimore, and me and Wes met back in 2007 in November, and there was a program out there called the Prosperity Cast Network, and me and Wes both joined, and it kind of fizzled.
Yeah,
and that was our. Well, Wes was already doing some things on the internet, but that was my first thing I ever did on the internet, and it kind of went to the wayside, and it had a lot of, I guess you would say, potential good qualities, but like I said, it just fizzled, and me and Wes just became friends at that time, and kind of have stayed friends, done some things together, and bounced different ideas off of one another, and really try to use the internet to promote what we're doing online. And also, I've been using it for me. I'm also a real estate appraiser in the Baltimore area, so I've been using it for my appraisal business, which is, been doing fairly well. So it's not like, but I'm working into, to try to capture some real estate on Google and YouTube. So,
hey Lorenzo, thanks for joining in with us. Yeah, and did you say 2007, Ed?
Yeah, November.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so this will be.
The good news is I'm not getting any older. So that's the cool part.
Right. Well, I was bald when we started, and I think you had hair.
I did.
Started, so
I had about 4 of them. Yeah.
Yeah. You used to say you get your hair cut, and I'd say, "What about the other 3?" So
right.
That's right. Well, it's kind of funny about that, and it's true pretty much of all systems. Oh yeah, Lorenzo's his phone keeps freezing. All these systems. I was saying something this morning, Ed, and we had mentioned talking to Scott J. Ringel, a while back, or I had said I'd talk to him. All these systems, all these platforms, whether it's the social media platforms, which this kind of is, I believe, not just video. I think it's a social platform as well. You've probably noticed that you don't have the ability yet, nor do I, to go in and leave a picture or a video as opposed to going live yet. But the owners were on yesterday, or the founders, I'm not sure what you call them, but it was Pablo and the other gentleman who I don't know all the names yet, but he was saying that that's something that is just it happens as you get in and do more things. And I guess they just kind of get a vibe of how you go through and do what you do, that they allow you to have that ability. But this being yet another social network or a video hosting or whatever you want to call it, all these different things, whether it's, if you're in Amway or all the way up to, anything else, Avon ladies, real estate, it really doesn't matter what you do. At the end of the day, your real main concern should be getting the engagement of that person off of that network. And the reason why is because what if, and this is going to be a great example, this network, I do think it's going to do good. It seems like it's a really strong presence and they've got a really good system going. But what do you do if Haps goes bye-bye? Like, Blab or think about Google Hangouts and all the the different incarnations that Google has had of Google Wave and Google this and Google that. If Google can't get it right and keep them, platforms like this are definitely a chum in the water. So I do think that it's gonna go. But when you're doing an opportunity like this, what happens is, whether it's this that may have a little bit of growing room before it actually takes wings, or if you're in something that is established, what if you leave it? It doesn't have to go down itself. What if you leave? So if you become that guy or girl or person that is out there promoting Haps or Avon or Amway or whatever, real estate, appraising, social media and video, I mean, whatever it is, if you're that guy or that gal or that person that is always being that guy, gal or person, then what's going to happen is when you get out of that, or if it goes by the wayside, you have to start fresh. And how many times have we started fresh, Ed? Can you count?
Well, after I use my fingers and toes, times that by about 20.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd have to borrow yours, mine, and a couple other people's, because
right.
Opportunities come and go, guys. I mean, there are probably, and by the way, when I say guys, I mean everybody. But there are probably, 1,000 hot opportunities at any given moment. And probably thousands at any given moment if you count all the franchises and all the different things that are out there. But the one thing that's the one constant is your mailing list, your contact list. Your parents used to have a Rolodex, and I bet you still have a Rolodex. I know I've got one somewhere. The rolling Rolodex. I'm sure
you know what?
I
had one at one time. I don't even think I have that. The funny thing is, Wes, I still have thinking about something that we did in the past. I still have a stack of business cards with a rubber band around them.
Well, yeah, and everybody does it. And what's funny about business cards? I can't tell you how many business cards I've collected over the years where I had the best of intentions to call the people and never did. And I guarantee so do you, so does a lot of people out there listening. So, what it boils down to again is the fact that at some point you really need to get them off of whatever they're on and into your world to where you can start talking to them. And here's the beauty of it, guys. I put it on Facebook today. Oddly enough, just a couple hours ago, I go to it, but I don't have the picture right here. But it said, and I'll go to it just because it wasn't profound by any means. But what I put above it, I just thought was very true. So it says, never beg for a friendship or a relationship with anyone. If you don't receive the same efforts you give, cut them off. And I just put above it, be a nectar collector like a bee. Fly from flower to flower. And if you get the chance for the good stuff at one, stay. And if you don't, buzz off. And what I mean by that isn't if somebody isn't, showering you with, goodness that you just kick them to the curb. What it means is if I send a message to Ed and it says, whatever, join this, do that, here's a tip. And they send me back either because I heard this morning people talking about on Haps and Twitter and some of the other platforms of how people would fight and backbite each other. And as soon as they were off, they were talking about that person on another broadcast and all that. Guys, I don't have time for that nonsense. I know you don't, Ed. And the thing is if you are sending out an email or a text message or I don't know what else there'd be. I guess those would be the two things. I guess some sort of a post on a platform. If somebody unfollows you or blocks you, unfriends you in the platforms, if somebody unsubscribes or if somebody hits stop to opt out of a text message, those three things aren't "I hate you." They might be. Um, they're not saying you're a worthless piece of crap. They might be again, but they're probably just saying, you know what, I'm not interested. And no doesn't necessarily mean no. It just means not at this moment. However, if they're off of your list, if they're out of your opt-in, or if they have, chosen to not see your posts, that wasn't the person for you anyway. So, if they go from here to your mailing list or those other two things I just mentioned, a text or a friend on another network where you're talking to them, which I would highly suggest you get them into a text or a mailing list. If that person's not interested, why would you chase after that person? Guys, there's a saying out there that for those that see it being whatever it is that you're putting out there, no explanation is needed. For those that don't, no explanation is possible. That's basically saying the eloquent version is that. The non-eloquent version is you can throw alarm clocks into the graveyard, but you can't wake the dead. Okay, so you're gonna realize real quick that the people that you're talking to in a engaged following is the ones that you want. The other people, you could probably right now go to your Facebook and try to give away $10 bills for $5 bills, and people probably wouldn't do it. I've tried to give away iPads on contests to get, just go do this and you get an iPad. Just it's a contest that runs for 30 days. All you have to do is this, and this, and you'll be eligible to win an iPad. And I couldn't give it away. I literally had to send out a message that said, I didn't get enough people that did it. So people are leery and they have their own time and they have their own, whatever going on. So what you just need to do is say next. But the biggest thing is, and Ed, I will let you pop in here for a second, brother. I'm hijacking the
It's all
video.
good. It's all good.
But one of the biggest things, about that world is you want to get that person that is, absolutely positively evangelistic. It's that Kevin Kelly 1,000 true fans mentality. Okay, where you get the people that are actually engaged, and from that point, it's a done deal. You couldn't stop it if you tried. Okay, and that's what you want. You want those people that when you say something, they listen. It's kind of like this is really going to date me, but it's like the old E.F. Hutton commercials. they'd be talking and somebody'd say, "My broker's E.F. Hutton," and E.F. Hutton says, and everybody in the room would lean over and do this. And they don't make that commercial anymore, but they should. They should also bring back the Chuck Wagon dog. I love that little guy. But anyway, it's so important to get people out there engaged, because the engagement is the key. I mean, it's really where it's at. So anyway, Ed, what else you got in your mind, brother?
Well, basically what you were saying, and I think a lot of people worry, you know, getting online, getting on the video, putting yourself out there. They're worried about, am I going to connect with everybody? Or people going to like me, this or that? And like you said, talking about whatever you're promoting or trying to promote or talking about, some will, some won't. So what? You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. You're doing the best you can. And like you said, you're not going to connect with everybody. I'm sure me and Wes, we're not going to be connecting with 24-year-olds, 30-year-olds. They're not going to understand it's like the old Steely Dan song, "Hey 19," right, Wes? We ain't connecting with them people.
By the way, hey, Walt, we see that you're listening, but you can't comment because you're listening through your earbuds as you walk. Walking is much more important than comment and test, buddy. So that's absolutely fine. And Ed, you forgot one part of the some will, some won't. So what? What's the next part?
I don't know.
It's some will, some won't. So what next?
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and the reason being, again, guys, it's not that we don't care what people think. I mean, I guess if I'm being honest, I always try to be as kind and honest as possible. So if you don't agree with me, uh, I agree to disagree. But if I'm being 1,000% honest, I really don't care. Not because I don't care about your opinion, but I don't have time to worry about that pettiness. This is a volunteer army. So if you're listening, you're doing it by your own accord. I mean, I didn't invite anybody. I just went live. So I really want people to listen, and I really, really want to deliver a great message, and I want people to be 100% happy with what I'm saying. But if you're not, I openly invite you to bounce, just because neither one of us have time to waste. So, and I certainly don't want you to be not getting what you have felt out of the conversation. So, Ed, sometimes it's super hard to believe that we've been talking for that long, because I mean that is going on 14 years. So
Yeah. Wow.
that's amazing, and it's really funny, guys, because I was talking to Ed last week. I was going to a mastermind in Cincinnati, Ohio. And as I was driving, I said, "Do you remember the days when I used to say, oh man, I got to get to the joint?" Used to call Ed every morning, or Ed would call me on my way to work, and I had about 20 minutes to work. I was always hustling. I mean, just I left quite literally every day I mean, I'd like I'd like to say that I would allow myself time for stuff, but Ed will tell you,
No.
I used to cuss behind. Yeah, this is rural Ohio, so there's a lot of combines, there's a lot of tractors, there's a lot of just slowpokes in general, and invariably I would get stuck behind a combine and start losing my religion on the phone with Ed. But I would always say, "Man, I gotta go to the joint." And I would like to tell you that when I got there, they got 100% of West, but the truth of the matter is, they didn't. They were getting about just enough to where I didn't get fired, and they were probably giving me just enough to where I didn't quit. And that went on for way too long. And we would talk every day, and every day I would say, "God, if we could just figure out something, to whatever something was. God, if we could just, if we could just, if we could just, if we could just." And we did several things, over and over, but nothing necessarily that took super duper wings. But as I was driving to Cincinnati, I told Ed, I said, "It's amazing. I've been gone from that job longer than I was at that job." Um, Walt says that he lives in rural Ireland,
Oh
and
wow.
he's very used to combines and tractors, and probably dodging leprechauns and Blarney Stones and all sorts of stuff. But he, he and I were talking about that, and I was able to, go from sitting at a cubicle, working from somewhere else, to sitting and having this as what I look at every day. And it's not someone else's anymore. It's mine. It's the war room, and the control center is now mine. It's not somebody else's. I don't have to ask to go to the bathroom. I don't have to ask, if it's okay to take vacation. I'm a independent contractor, much like Ed. And so I do the things around my time, and I have clients, guys. I mean, I won't call them bosses necessarily, but I have people that I do work for. But the difference now is that they give me the work, and if I can get it all done from 4 a.m. when I have insomnia till 8 o'clock when it's time to, wake up and take the dogs out, or I might do it at night, or I might do it during normal time. But I do it whenever, and then I move all this other stuff that we're doing around it. Ed does the same thing. Ed, how many times do you you probably go out from what, about 7 to about what, noon ish?
Actually, usually from about 8:30 to noon.
Okay, and
Yeah,
you're out there.
yeah, doing setting appointments. Today I actually stayed in all day. I had to get some work typed up this morning, so I've been in all day. So I got 4 appointments tomorrow.
And
So
Ed's a road warrior. He goes out battling on the bad streets of Baltimore every day, and
yeah,
I get to hear him lose his religion.
yeah, every now and then. Yeah, yeah. You always heard me getting a fist fight one day, didn't you?
Fist fights, fighting indigent people in buildings, and
Oh my goodness.
if Ed wrote a book, you guys would buy it and laugh. But so what we were and Ed, what I was going to talk to you about, and I'll do it in front of God and everybody here. Today, I got a message, and I don't know if I can put it up on screen. I think I probably can. Let me see if I can actually put this on screen, because I think I can. I think it's this, but let's see if this is right. We'll find out real quick. Yep, this is it. So I want to show you guys something, and that is this picture. So what that says, and you guys may or may not be able to see it, but just I took a picture of it, and I want to let you know that even though you may not be able to see it very well, what it is a no from Facebook. And what happened was, I was with Michael Bathurst this morning on his podcast, and I can only assume that he played a song for a second, and he has permission to play certain songs. He's bought the rights, but clearly, if you share it out to certain platforms through the multicasting of Haps, you can get dinged for it. So somebody said you should dispute that, and I didn't, because just like I said at the beginning of the call, I don't have time for that nonsense. And the other thing is social media is where I kind of make my bread and butter. So I'm not gonna give any trouble to the platforms, because that's where I do the lion's share of my stuff. So I would suggest, not only for compliance reasons, but for just reasons in general. And now this isn't going to apply to music or videos and things like that. And although in the beginning of the call, when I was talking about different opportunities, I mentioned companies like Amazon or Amway or Avon and things like that. But Ed, I think it wouldn't be a horrible idea to talk about the opportunities that we're going to talk about, but not necessarily, unless we're on Haps alone, which it might not be the best of ideas, just being on Haps. But I think it wouldn't be a horrible idea to go through and not use specific names of things, but yet talk about the opportunities of them. What do you think about that?
That's fine.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you why. And this is for you and everybody listening. So I had mentioned on an earlier call today that somebody, and I think, Ed, you may remember me either telling you about this or you may even remember it happening. But do you remember that time that somebody got kicked off of YouTube for holding up a copy of The Secret? Do you remember that?
No, not offhand. No.
I mean, I've seen. Not only have I seen, I've taken pictures, with 100 books, over the years. I mean, I took a picture with Gary Vaynerchuk, in his 2 books, holding them up, proudly, and have never been flagged or anything like that. But you don't necessarily have to get flagged by a company for compliance or by somebody for a violation of going out there and promoting something. There's 2 other things that do it. And one is kind of sad, but let's say that Ed and I are both in an opportunity and we don't like each other, or we're, going hardcore against each other. What would stop me or Ed from going on to a video or a post or whatever and just saying, hey, I don't like this. It violates something. Well, a lot of these companies, especially the big platforms, anything that's rented, and when I say rented space, guys, I'm talking about the stuff you don't have control over. So if you're not paying for it to be on it, or if you're not, if it's a public forum type thing, like most of the major platforms, consider that the rented space. Okay, you're on there; they're letting you do the stuff, but you have to follow what they say. They will usually you're guilty until proven innocent, not the other way around. They'll take you off. Ed, you've had it happen to you. Where somebody went on and didn't like something you put and said it whatever. I don't know what they put, but they reported you. So
Yeah, it's a couple YouTube videos.
Yeah,
it's just like you said, who knows
who knows why they do it, but it happens. And so the second thing is just exactly what I said, compliance or something is just not what the people want, because the one thing that you can just bet 8 days a week on is the inclusion of marketers on anything. It doesn't matter if it's religion, if it's something great, or if it's something horrible. Once you bring marketers into the mix, they screw everything up. If you want to see something screwed up, add a compensation plan to it, because once you do, all the vultures come out and start doing horrible stuff, and they will rape and pillage the opportunity and leave you holding the bag, or start doing things to the point where justice departments and other things are looking at things, and they just these platforms won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. So you might be innocently putting a link up that just gets completely sandboxed, because they don't want it. And actually, one of the opportunities that Ed and I are going to be promoting, without giving a specific name, they had that exact problem in the beginning, because they had a mail product that MAIL, not MALE, mail for sending out mail, that as soon as the marketers got a hold of it, they went out there and just spammed the bejesus out of this platform, to the point that they literally had to shut it off, go in and retool everything. And you don't think a lot about that, but there's a lot of whitelist. It's not whitelisted. Well, I guess it is whitelisted. They do a lot to stay whitelisted with these service providers and mail providers and the sites. And once blemishes start popping up, all it takes is one bad apple and the whole bushel's gone. So you really want to think about what you're putting out there and how you're doing it, just because of the fact that it's not wait and pussyfoot around and walk on eggshells, guys. But you really do want to be mindful of it, because it will come and bite you. So I think that it's better to stay a little anonymous about stuff and market you first, as opposed to being the opportunity.com guy, gal, person that just pushes to where at some point they're like, oh, Ed, oh yeah, he's the opportunity guy, and you're like, well, he does other things, but yeah, he does that, kind of a thing. So like I said, you don't have to start completely fresh. Be Ed, and it just so happens you promote that opportunity. Be Wes, but just so happens you promote that opportunity, and then that way people don't start associating you with only when this guy comes, you got to run the other direction. I mean, I can tell you, not to knock Amway, but there was a time in the 70s and 80s that if you went to someone's house and walked in and saw chairs set up, I mean, you had to run the other direction. Yeah, because you just knew. You're like, oh man, there's you don't want to visit. Why do you have a piece of paper with circles drawn on it? I'm getting out of here. So yeah, you don't want to be that person. So, and I don't know if you ever got hijacked on one of those or not, Ed.
Not Amway, but probably hijacked into something.
Yeah, and by
and
the way,
guys, and a few on the internet. So you know what I mean. You kind of it's not hard not to get roped in. We've kind of got roped in a few times. Like I said,
I've got
like when we met.
Well, yeah, and I've gotten roped in. And that's the other thing too. Every time that a beam of light shines through a rainbow into a waterfall that has a plant behind it that hasn't been walked out by the indigenous people of that area, gets found. I mean, they turn it into a product. I mean, it's goji and acai, and I mean, there's always this weird cycle of stuff that as soon as you hear it, you're like, oh man, there's going to be a damn product, hooked to that. And right now, it's crypto and forex, and there's a couple things that are floating around again. Not so much crypto from the past, but gosh, if I had a nickel for every time forex has raised its head, I'd be off of this, and I'd just have a phone on the beach. Every time it rang, I would say no and put it back down because I'd be that rich. And there's nothing wrong with those. I mean, if you're doing forex trading and stuff, that's fantastic. But the one thing you got to think, guys, I don't care what system somebody comes up with, and if you're on forex, by all means, come at me. You can argue with me all you want, but if there was a system where they had guarantees, you're gonna, as long as you stay in this green area, you're gonna make money. They wouldn't be doing that. They certainly wouldn't be hawking it to you. They would be on that beach, sipping an umbrella drink. I mean, there is no guarantees. It's always a risk. I don't care who you are. It might be a calculated risk. You may most certainly know, that, okay, if I see this and this happen, there's a good chance that X is going to happen. And you're right. You're absolutely right. But I also know that there's been plenty of people lose their butts in it. So,
and probably the reason is, Wes, don't give me like we've talked before. We'll say 100 people doing forex, or one guy knows really what he's doing. He's been doing it for years, understands the ins and outs, lost money, made money, and knows how to stay in the parameters to keep it to where he wants it to be. And then he starts telling other people who jump in and think it's just going to be easy and he's already been through the parts of losing. And so they get in and, all of a sudden you need to, if you have a downturn or whatever would happen, and you could lose your shirt real quick. They don't understand that. And a lot of the people that get involved with a lot of these things, they don't have the extra money to recap. You know what I mean? They're already in a position where they think this is going to get them the next month's rent. And if it goes down the tubes, or they, just make one mistake, which is easy. How many mistakes have we made in all this stuff, Wes?
More than I'd like to mention. The other thing is they normally have a setup like this, and they're watching it. They're tracking 8 different monitors. They're going through and and if you have the time for that, God bless you. I mean, if you're able to sit and monitor a bunch of screens and get up in the middle of the night and see what some other country's doing, hey, go for it.
No, I know. Hey, it's to each his own, right, Wes?
But at the end of the day, I'll guarantee you my numbers are more in line with than your numbers. And I mean that from the sense of, I promise you, more people have taken a bath in trying to learn forex than have made their millions. And I if you can show me any numbers different, I will eat crow, but I know I'm right. So, but at the end of the day, guys, here's what you need to keep in mind. It doesn't have to be forex. It could be anything. If I were to tell you how many people have a real estate, insurance, or cosmetology license and have never sold one house, probably never shown a house, never sold one policy, probably have never talked to anybody about it, and three, have never touched somebody's hair or even, told somebody that they had a license, you would probably say, oh, there's no way. Guaranteed. I'll bet you $1 to a donut that there are tens of thousands of people in that situation went through all the blocking and tackling to get that license and never used it even once. Now, could you say that those three industries are scams? You could. They're not. The same thing applies with pretty much everything, including that Forex. There's going to be probably, now in the first three I mentioned, the numbers are going to be much different. But in traditional network marketing, opportunities, going out there and just doing anything, where you're doing, stuff for yourself, the true success rate is probably anywhere from 0.5 to 3%, and the reason why is because most people won't do what's necessary to make it successful. They'll talk about it, they'll run their mouths about it, but they won't do it. So anyway, that's that. And by the way, guys, all that is my own personal opinion, but if you look at the numbers don't lie. So
no, and even in our case, Wes, I mean, we, a lot of times we were committed for a while to a certain product or opportunity or whatever, and like you said, we just maybe didn't see it through, or something else come along that we thought was a better opportunity. How many times have we tried that, right?
Well, and some of the things they seem like the best things since sliced bread. Yeah. I mean, there's some things that you would have thought nothing would have taken them down, and just all of a sudden you find out that it's not only over, but it never was good. I mean, so
yeah,
it's one of those things that I at the end of the day, Ed, what I said a couple minutes ago or at the beginning of the broadcast is it's of the utmost importance that you get people into a funnel, that you tell them what you're going to do, and that funnel in the perfect situation is presenting a problem and then presenting a solution to that problem. Give me your name and your text and your email, and then at that point you're going to get something. We'll call it some sort of a tripwire that they get something for providing that information that you have deemed as agreeable between the two of you as something they want to provide that information. And then if they get into your mailing list or your text list, like I said, they're either going to stay and become customers, or they're going to bounce. I mean, and they may stay and watch for a long time, but that is the simplest, most absolutely basic version of what we're talking about, is coming up with something that you could say, like in the case of the product that Ed and I are going to be talking about. Now you see that we put preview on here. We're not completely done with what we're going to be doing. We're going to be presenting it here and in the coming days, but we did this primarily today because we talked about it last night and said we're going to do it. And instead of waiting, it's if you wait, you won't do it. So that's why we went live today to talk about what we were going to do. But the opportunities, if you tell somebody, listen, it will do this, and you have a problem with this, this is what it solves. I can almost guarantee you that the stuff that we're going to be going over one, if not several, of the different aspects of it are going to have a hook somewhere. So we'll have something that will we'll cover the problem, and then we'll cover a solution. Then we'll offer you up a some sort of a giveaway that will make it very well worth your while. To check out more information, and then at that point, you'll be able to get into a marketing arm of it. And by the way, if you don't, we'll part as friends. It's perfectly okay. And if you go into the funnel and you don't like it and you part, we'll be perfectly okay. So that is the hardest part of what we're going to be telling you is basically a problem, a solution, and what we've done to fix it. Back in my cubicle days, they called that a star format. It was the situation or the task and the action and then the result. And that's exactly what we're going to do is provide a star for you every day.
Yeah, and like you said, Wes. Well, one of the thought processes behind the 30 days is just as we've talked and over the years, and you're pretty consistent with your social media. I haven't been very consistent with it, quite, or certain things, but just putting yourself out there on a consistent basis. And the other thing we were talking about was focus, right?
Well,
So,
go ahead, Ed. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, just stay focused on what you're doing for however long. You know what I mean? Because just for learning from our mistakes in the past, just being with something for, even if you stick with it for 6 months, it's not long enough. And you gotta. It's like anything, like you said. Even we're talking about a real estate agent. I mean, hell, by the time you go through all the classes and learn that's a tough racket, and you gotta be persistent. Same as the insurance business. I mean, it's none of them are easy businesses. So you have to really stay consistent. I mean, heck, when I started in the appraisal business, and actually I was a real estate agent, but I didn't like sitting at the damn front desk all the time. And my son was playing soccer, and I wanted to be, with him. But the one thing that how I got into the appraisal business was I worked for nothing for a month to get into it. You know what I mean? So you got to put your time in. Whatever you got to learn it. You know what I'm saying? And not everybody's willing to do that.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. Ed, you and I have a book that I'll recommend, and I'll put a link to it in here. But the gentleman's name is let me see, Jeff Olson, and what he talks about is the slight edge. And what the slight edge is it doesn't seem to make a difference in the act of doing it, it being whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, but compounded by time makes all the difference in the world. So if you're talking about doing the slight edge, if I put this onto the screen for you, you want to think about a line like this, okay? So you got two lines, and you got Ed at the top, and you got me at the bottom, okay? So if you think about it this way, Ed's going to go on a diet, okay, at the top. And so up here, Ed is going to have a very hard time because he's going to have to go through, and he's going to have to, start doing push-ups, and he's going to have to start, watching his weight. He's going to have to push away the plate, and he's going to have to do just a bunch of stuff that is uncomfortable. Okay. So, and then you got me on the bottom, and I wrote the word easy. And on the bottom, what you're looking at is I'm not going to change a thing. Okay. I'm going to keep eating bad. I'm going to keep, not exercising. I'm not going to push away the plate. I'm going to eat the sweets. I'm going to drink the calories. I'm going to do all the bad stuff. Well, if you look at these lines, they stay parallel for a long time. We'll call it, say, 3 months, okay? And then you'll notice that Ed's starts to arc up and mine starts to arc down, okay? So what was hard for Ed at the front, now at the top is easy, and what was easy for me is hard. And what I mean by that is you got a point where Ed now starts to have a flatter stomach. His heart is working better. He's got a much better, breathing process. He is feeling like $1,000,000. I'm getting heavier and heavier. My heart is in trouble. My lungs don't have the air to, go up and down stairs without, feeling horrible. So what's easy in the beginning for me to just slack off and do nothing, at the end, it's very hard. Okay. And all you're talking about is the difference between very slight disciplines and slight errors in judgment. But compounded by time, they make all the difference in the world. Okay. Now, some people would say, well, I'll just do the exact same thing. Okay. And go in the middle. Well, guess what, guys? It doesn't work like that. If you stay in the middle, you're probably going to go onto the hard side, because it is not, something that you can, just, slack off and do absolutely nothing, because at some point, it will end up catching up to you. So that is called The Slight Edge. It's a book by Jeff Olson. And, like I said, I'll say it again. It doesn't seem to make a difference in the act of doing it, but compounded by time makes all the difference in the world. So it's the same thing as investing, or, if you were to go through and do saving, there's a story actually in his book, The Slight Edge, where he talks about, doubling a penny every day for 30 days. The first like 22 days, I don't even think it barely breaks $10. It's next to nothing. Hell, it may not even break $1. But in those last, 9-10 days, it gets up to, I think, $14 million or something like that, Ed. I mean, it's ridiculous,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know it's well over 1 million.
So what you got to remember is the same thing about the water hyacinth, that's on top of a pond. In the first couple weeks, it's the size of a postage stamp, on top of the water. Then, maybe 21, 23 days in, it might look like a welcome mat, that you'd have in front of your house. But by the end of the month, it covers the whole top of the pond. And what it boils down to, guys, is it's the blocking and tackling. Okay. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the challenge where you have to, a great one as an example is the 75 hard challenge that's out there. There's probably a lot of people that have heard of that. You have to do the same thing every day for 75 days in a row. And if you don't do one of those things, you have to start fresh. Well, the same thing is true of that penny, or the water, plant. If you went out there and picked it, on the 23rd day, it wouldn't cover the pond. It'd have to start fresh. So same thing with the penny. If you spent the money at the 20th day, that's where you would get in trouble. And in all honesty, that's probably where the people that do these forexes and crypto and all that stuff, they probably, if they do experience a success, they probably get out much earlier than they should. If they would leave their money in, and many times when they think it's about ready to tank, they would probably get an amazing surprise down the road if they would just stay the course and just keep plugging along. So we're saying the same thing in different ways. The overall answer and overwhelming message of this, guys, is action. You have to take action. It's got to be massive action, because if you half-ass it, you're not going to experience success, because the half-assers of the world are the people that shine your shoes. I mean, and if you are a shoe shine, there's nothing wrong with that job. But I don't want to be in that job. I mean, it's honest work, and I think it's great work. But I want to be the guy getting my shoes shined. That's I don't mean to sound mean on that. Just it just is what it is.
You got it.
So
Anyway,
we're almost at an hour. Ed, wrap us up, man. Tell me what big plan. Let's have a plan of action at the end of everything, and then we'll start with what we did to move toward that action. So what's your action for the day?
uh, well, good question. Just finishing it up, working on tomorrow's what we're going to talk about tomorrow, and
Okay.
stay consistent with this. Is the biggest thing as far as and really start implementing some of the tools that we're professing here. Using it in the real world to start getting results.
Good deal. Well, let's do this. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing, Ed. So let's plan on coming to everybody on at 1 o'clock. If by some reason it changes, guys, we will let you know. If it's 1 o'clock, and it should be one every day, then if one of us is not here, the other one will make sure that we start it. If for some reason there is something going on, absolute full disclosure, I have an ailing father-in-law, so there can be times where a monkey wrench might possibly get thrown into the mix. Ed is an appraiser. He may be out in traffic and not be able to get back into the country. So life
I
does
was
take.
gonna,
Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
I was gonna see if my phone would work. You know what I mean, Wes? Can you
Yeah,
get?
and like I said, in most cases, it may not be an hour, but we probably will be able to pop on every day at 1.
Yeah,
But if something does happen, guys, what we will do is the people that take advantage of what we're talking about. I'm going to create a page where you can go and actually get in and absorb the stuff that we're talking about, and I'll make sure I keep it updated to where if we know some people may not get in, the very first day that we're talking about stuff. So if that is the case, we'll do our best to make sure that you have the ability to go back and get back in. And what I would like to do, Ed, and if you don't have a problem with this, it's the first time I've actually sprung it on you, but I think that this should be an ongoing challenge. I think we should just at the end of 30 days, I think we should maybe a couple day rest and then pop right back into it if you're okay with that.
hey, you know what? Like I said, the key is to get it to be, to where we're consistent. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what I want to do,
Well,
and,
good.
and and get better at it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I like that idea. So I think that's going to be the best way
Cool.
to go about it is just do the 30 days, and then that way when people do pop in, they'll be able to send their people into the past stuff and look at any information that's there, and then we
Right.
can say the next one starts on whatever. And again, if somebody pops in the middle of that, they can either hop in midway and then get into the next round as well. But we'll just keep this going on and on and on, and I think it's going to be a really good opportunity for people. But did you have anything else you wanted to cover?
No, I just like you said. I mean, I guess over the course of time, we can just start breaking it down and to uh just showing some people, what they need to do on a consistent basis to start getting the results. No matter what kind of business, because like I said, Wes is more. He's in his office and on social media. I'm out and about, and I was just telling him. I mean, there's a lot of small business people that are really hurting out there. You know what I mean? They lost the traffic, and unless they do something drastic, I don't think it's coming back. Because they gotta figure out a way to connect somehow. to bring the customers in the door, right, Wes?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Ed and I have talked, ad nauseum about a place that used to be, around the corner from a place I worked. And the very first time I went in, this is pre-COVID, by the way. So this COVID, they never would have made it. But pre-COVID, I went in there, and there were three people just hustling, bustling in this tiny little restaurant. And one person was at the register, another person was out in the lobby, making sure everybody was happy. It was a buffet type situation, and the owner would come up and thank you, while you were cashing out and this and that. The second time I went, there was one person working in the back, and another person at the counter. They would try their very best to get into the lobby and help people. Things were starting to get kind of not so good. And then the third time I went in, the owner was working all by himself. He would ask you what kind of pizza you wanted, and because most of the stuff that was under the lights on the buffet was bad, so you might have to wait, and eat, salad that was old, while he was possibly making up a pie. And then he also was, trying to wash dishes, check people out, come out and wipe off tables. He was literally the head cook and bottle washer. And the fourth time I went, it was closed. And truth be known, it probably was on its way on the second and third visit, but they probably had a lease that they had to pay, and they probably figured, I might as well open the doors every day and try to make some money, because it was watching a sinking ship. It was sad. And now that we're in COVID, post COVID, and COVID / post COVID, some of these places, they're underwater. I mean, they're short staffed. They're
can't get help. Can't get help.
No, it's horrible. So I really don't know how some of them are making it. And the people that run those places, they are entrepreneurs. So they're going to be, unfortunately, and I don't mean to keep dragging this on, guys, but I can remember many years ago when the mortgage, before the mortgage stuff happened, and all the bottom dropped out of that world. And Ed, this world better than anybody, or when this happened. But you would talk to mortgage brokers, and they would look at you like you were high, or drunk. Why would I want to look at your opportunity? I am, crapping in high cotton over here. They were driving nice cars, wearing watches that were worth more than what you made in a month, or a year, probably, and walking around, like their crap didn't stink. Well, guess what? When the bottom fell out of everything, those guys were ears to the tracks on opportunities. And they were very open to what you had to say. So when I said earlier on that when people tell you no, it doesn't mean no, it means not now, definitely keep that in mind, because an opportunity doesn't always, I'll use faith as an example. When you pray to God and ask him for whatever it is that you want for yourself or someone else. The one thing that you need to remember is sometimes the answer is no. It's not that he doesn't answer you. It's just sometimes it's not now, and it's not up for us to question that. And it's certainly not for us to question why somebody isn't ready at a certain moment. But I know one thing that's a fact: as long as they're in your pipeline, as long as you're not offending them, as long as you're engaging with them and letting them know that you're still here, you're not bugging them, but hey, I'm still doing this, and you let them know that what you're doing, there's a better than not chance that something down the road will cause them to say, hey, you know what? Do you still do that thing? And you'll be like, yep. And there they are. Now, if you have jumped from 1,000 different things and you're like, oh, no, I don't do that anymore, that was whatever, the next time they're not going to think of you. They're going to be like, well, that person is, got one butt trying to ride 5 horses. It doesn't work. So and the other thing is that if you are somebody that puts it out once and then never says anything about it again, you're not going to win. What you need to keep in mind, good or bad, a lot of the influencers, and I say influencers like this that are out there, they may not necessarily be the best influencers in the world, but they tell you they are. So you think they are. They're in your face every day, and thus you think that they are the best because they're telling you they are. So if you actually back it up with a real, bit of information and quality content, and quality engagement and all that, it's a done deal. But you may have to wait. And unfortunately, that's what I think keeps most people out of the game in all these opportunities is when they get involved. Many of the times they're getting involved because they need money now. They invest, whatever it is in something, and they go at people like hyenas, because they're so hungry and so in need of getting that investment back or making money or whatever the case may be, that they're just shoving it down your throat. Whereas the person that is calm and collected and has that hare as opposed to the or tortoise as opposed to the hare mentality, slow and steady, they're the person that they will win 8 days a week. So guys, we have used 1,000 analogies and 1,000 stories, but again, at the end of the day, it's all about action and consistency. And one of my absolute grade A favorite quotes is by Benjamin Franklin, and that's "Energy and persistence conquer all things." And it's the absolute truth. So,
Yeah, man.
and I've asked you half a dozen times here, but do you got anything that you want to wrap up with?
No, it's all good. I think we did. It's good for the first day. A little, and we'll get a little bit more consistent and focused tomorrow as far as where we're going with things. But yeah, at least we got it going here today.
People are like, man, that Wes can talk.
No, hey man, hey, it's all good. I'm glad you can talk, man.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right. So, all right, brother. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, we are going to bounce.
Make it a wrap.
Do me a favor, follow us on here. If you have any questions, leave us a message. And Ed, on behalf of myself and you, I hope everybody has a dynamite day.
You got it, brother.
All right. See you later.